Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert, here on Labor Day 2019. That is September 2nd, 2019. And we're over here at my Weber kettle. This is a 21-inch kettle. I've had this one for a long time. It's seasoned well. I love this thing. You can do all kinds of cooking on it. And today we're going to do a how-to. It'll be a two-part series, so I'll do the first start part now, and then I'll do the second part when I'm ready to take it off and sit down and eat, which will be later on tonight. I'm in no rush to get this done because it was a hot, humid day today, and there was no reason to light a barbecue until I was in the shade over here. As you can see, the shadow line is over there. My panels are now in the shade, and I'm in the shade, so I can get to work here. Now, I did some prep work already to save time and keep the video rolling, so I didn't have to put the camera in the tripod and take it out of the tripod and so forth and so on. Go inside the cabin, come outside the cabin. So I'm going to go over it all. It's very simple. Today we're going to do slow roasted smoked chicken, whole chicken. And no, it's not one of the girls. This came from the store. Great deal on it. I got almost a 5.5 pounder. It's 5.4 pounds. And it was marked down half price manager special. So I got a great deal on that. I got it for $4. Wow. Yeah, so I'm going to smoke that up. I'll have some for dinner tonight. And then I'll cut it all up and I'll separate the meat off the bone and package it so that I have some smoked chicken breasts for sandwiches. And now I'll have some smoked chicken thighs that I can make a chicken salad with or something like that. Or I could take all of the extra meat that's left over and I can make a nice stew out of it. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with this, but this is one of my favorites. I love doing the smoked chicken because it is so easy. There's very little that you have to do. And I'm going to show you exactly everything that has to be done, and you'll love it. You'll love this thing. You'll love this recipe. It comes out great every time. And when you see that chicken and it's all browned up in the smoker, it's just so appetizing, your mouth will water. All right, so let's get started. First thing I did was I took some of my Kingsford charcoal. That's a scoop away bag is just because there's a rip in the Kingsford charcoal bag, and that just keeps them from falling out. Okay, so you can stack them neat if you want. I did a half moon around half of the barbecue here because I want to do this long and slow, and I want the temperature to stay not too hot, but somewhere between 250 and 300 through the whole cooking process. Now, about halfway through the cooking process, I added some lump charcoal here, and this is mesquite. Mesquite is just one of the greatest smoke flavors for chicken. And you've probably heard it all over the place. Mesquite smoked chicken. Yes, that's the way to do it. So the lump charcoal is in the middle right here, and when it gets to that, it's going to add the smoky flavor to the chicken. But I want the chicken to already be partially cooked by the time I add the smoke flavor to it, because if I don't do that, if I add it at the beginning, sometimes it gets a little bit too overwhelming. And if I add it at the end, you don't get hardly any smoke flavor to it. So right in the middle is where I like to do it. All right, so you can see my half moon, and I didn't neatly stack them. I just poured them and then moved them up and tried to even them out about the same thickness all the way through. I've seen people start with 4 across the bottom, do 3 on top of that, then 2, and then 1, and pyramid it all the way around. This is time cooking, and this is nice because with time cooking, you're going to save a lot of your charcoal lighter. You don't need hardly any charcoal lighter. All I'm going to do is soak these 4 or 6 pieces at the end right here with some charcoal lighter, and I'm going to light it right there, and then I'm going to get my water into my pan and my rack on here, get my chicken on the rack centered over the pan, and that's it. I'm done. I cover this thing up, walk away. come back, check the heat in a little while, make sure the heat is up where it's got to be. And then I don't have to come over here for an hour and a half. In an hour and a half, I'll come over and I'll take a look inside and make sure everything is going right. Now I do have a gauge on this cover. They don't normally come with gauges, but I buy the universal gauge from Home Depot. I drilled a 3/8 hole in the cover and I put it in there. And this is to control the amount of heat that you want. For smoking, I like to keep it wide open, and the same thing with the bottom here. I keep it wide open. All right, so I got all that passed, and this is now time for me to get the camera into the tripod so I have my hands free, and I'll explain everything from there. So here we go. I hope I don't hit any buttons and kill this thing while I'm doing this. Yeah, I got through it perfectly. All right, so I got my charcoal lighter here, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm just going to soak the end 4 or 5 pieces of charcoal right here at the beginning. And some people ask me if it makes a difference if you start from that side or start from this side. Well, if you start from this side, you're gonna continue cooking in the forward position. If you start from that side, you're gonna go backwards and you're gonna uncook it. Just kidding. All right, so now we got some matches. I'm gonna take a match out here, strike it, and get the end lit. All right, now I like using these 9x9. They're actually 9 3/8 by 9 3/8 2-inch deep pans. They're actually called poultry pans, and they're for cooking poultry in them. But we're not going to put the poultry in that pan. What we're going to do is, because smoking will dry things out, so we're going to do a wet smoke. And what I'm going to do is, I got here 4 cups of water. So we're going to pour that into the pan. And that's going to be our drip pan. So when the greases and the juices and everything flow out of the chicken while it's cooking, they're going to go into that pan and cook. Now, normally you can use the grease that drips from the chicken to make your gravies. Well, you could, but what I'm going to be doing with it, and I might have to add water to that, so don't think that 4 cups is going to get you all the way through this. Once this thing gets hot, that water will start evaporating off. So when you come back in your hour and a half time, if it needs water, add water. And I always make sure that I use a 4 cup or a 1 quart measuring cup, and I'll have it ready just in case. I'll have 4 cups in there. If I need to put 4 cups in, I'll put it in. If I need 2 cups, I'll put 2 in. If I need 1, I'll put 1 in. Whatever, just to bring it up so you got about 3/4 of an inch of water in the bottom of this thing. That's where you want to be. So then what I'm going to do is afterwards, when it's almost time to, well, not almost time, but within an hour of the time I'm going to be taking the chicken off, what I'm going to do is come out with some wedged potatoes. I'm going to quarter some small potatoes, about that size, russet potatoes. I'll quarter them. I'm going to come out with my tongs. I'm going to dip them in the chicken drippings. And I might even just drop them in there, let them soak in there for a little while, and then come back out, and I'm going to set those on top of the grill along with the chicken so that they'll get browned up and roasted. And when I pull them out, I'll sprinkle them with just a little bit of dried parsley. And that's it. Sometimes I like to put a little garlic salt on them, but because there's already salt seasoning on the chicken and some of that's going to end up in the drippings, you got to be careful with your salt. You don't want too much of it. All right, so that's it. You can see down here the first ones are starting to gray a little bit around the edges. So now it's time to put our screen on, or our grill. And the way I set it, this grill has flaps on it. You see that's for reloading if you have to. And it's got one on each side. Okay, so I'll set it up that way so that I don't have to take the whole thing apart to add my potatoes later on. I'll just lift this flap up, and with my tongs I'll put the potatoes in there and dip them if I need to, or leave them sit there for a while. And then over here, if I need to add anything, any more charcoal to the fire, I can do it there. And you can always rotate this thing. It'll slide on its rack if you have to. So you can always rotate it to get it where you want it, to add some towards the end or whatever. All right. All right, now comes the exciting part, the chicken. Now I already prepped the chicken inside, so I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to show you what I did. I've had it sitting over here covered with plastic wrap so that I don't have to worry about flies or bugs or anything getting on it. All right, I'm coming around this side here, and there we are. There is the chicken prepped and ready. Okay, first thing to do, season the inside with salt and pepper. I use kosher salt and coarse black pepper. And it looks like there's a lot on there, but trust me, most of that's gonna go away, and the flavor of the smoke is gonna be on there, and it's gonna be just right. So I evenly coat the inside and the outside with coarse kosher salt and coarse black pepper. And I like to get the good black pepper, not the stuff that's ground up stems and leaves. All right, then you tuck the tips of the wings underneath the back side here, so it keeps them out of the way, it keeps them from burning. And then I use the extra skin around the opening, the cavity here, and I just take a sharp knife and puncture a hole through both pieces. Now the skin from this side holds that leg down, and the skin from this side holds this leg down. So it closes it up and binds it all. No string needed. All done with the chicken itself. All right. I also have a cutting board under here that I use all the time. And what I did was wrap the cutting board in tin foil. So I don't have to worry about contaminating my cutting board. That's a big worry with chicken. All right, so now I'm going to take my chicken and slide it right here into the center over the top of the pan. All right, no need wasting seasoning. Whatever misses the chicken will end up in the water below. All right, so that's about it, everybody. Now it's going to be time to put the cover on. And I'm going to align the opening holes on this side, the furthest away from the charcoal, and that's where the smoke is going to come across. You see a little smoke coming out of there already. That's just smoke from the regular charcoal. That's not going to give me a lot of seasoning. That's just going to come off until the charcoals get nice and hot, and then you won't get any of that until it hits that whole lump mesquite. And then you'll see a lot of smoke coming out of this. So my temperature's coming up. It's already at 110. So that's it. That's all there is to it, people. Now it's a waiting game. We just go inside and relax. And in the next 45 minutes or so, I'll prep the potatoes so they're ready to come out. And then inside I've got the giblets in a pan of water, a small saucepan, and I'll cook that down, and I'll make myself some chicken stock, which I'll put in the freezer and save for when it comes time to make chicken stew. And I'll always add things like I'm going to do carrots and string beans tonight for the vegetable on the side along with the potatoes. So I'll take some of the carrots, peelings and stuff like that, and I'll throw those in and boil those in with the chicken stock. It gives it a little bit of extra oomph there. And if I have celery leaves, things like that, I'll put those in there. But right now I don't, so it'll be just the chicken stock and the carrots for a little bit of vegetable juice in there. That's about it. G Bear signing off for now. We'll see you later in part 2.